How are you all doing? Sorry, I'm late this morning. 5 minutes late. That's really bad, isn't it? Morning, Christian, Tom, Amy, Peter, Kennelly, Andres, JC, Neo. Morning. Neo's on time again. Look. Morning, Jerry, Baggy, Virginia, Jules. Evening from New Zealand. Good man. Man or lady. Jules could be both. Morning, Paolo, Francisco. How are we doing? Right, big day yesterday. Lots of movement yesterday. Had a nice day yesterday. Banked 1.75%. So pretty decent moves yesterday across the board, which is unexpected because there wasn't actually any news yesterday really to move the market, but we got a lot of movement. So morning, Zico. Jules is a man. Good. So today is the big day for news. It's PMI day today. We've got French and German kicking off at 8:15 and 8:30. Then we've got the combined at 9 o'clock. That one doesn't tend to do anything, which is why it's orange, because these two guys make up the vast majority of that figure. So we know what that's going to be based on these two. So the open for the DAX this morning could be quite lackluster because the market will probably wait for the PMIs to come in, but we'll see. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we get a big move and positioning ahead of this anyway. So we'll see what happens. 9:30, then we've got the UK PMI figures coming out. We've got retail for CAD at 1:30 pre-market, and then post-market we've got the US PMIs. So the same thing applies this afternoon for the US Open. The news comes out 15 minutes after the open, as it does this morning. So the market quite often will stay fairly range bound until the figures have come out 15 minutes after the open. So we might have a tricky one this morning, but we'll see what happens. So you might want to wait for the 5-minute opening range this morning. Probably be a little bit safer maybe, but you never know. So that's news today. So today is the big news day. Tomorrow we've got unemployment claims, which is the unemployment rate is what we're interested in, not the claims. So that will have a little bit of a movement, but not a massive amount. And then Friday, we've got talking heads. We've got Powell and Lagarde speaking on Friday. So big day today for news. Overnight news, we've got 4 minutes to the open. Don't think there's a lot overnight. I did have a quick scan through this morning, but I didn't see anything exciting. The only thing exciting that I'm looking for basically is anything out of Japan to do with the yen intervention. Oh, didn't see that. When was that? Yesterday. Oh, late yesterday. Didn't see that. That's interesting. So basically Barkin saying that inflation remains high and demand gives no signal it's likely to drop, meaning more interest rates. Not quite, oops, wrong one. Not quite sure that's necessarily true. Oh, yeah, I suppose it is. It's gone up by 0.2. Okay. So we might have a bit more interest rates coming on the US, which will mean a bit of a stronger US dollar moving forward. We'll have to wait and see what Powell says on Friday about that. But yeah, so there's no news yesterday. So there's nothing overnight from Japan, which is the main thing I'm focused on at the minute, finding out what they're up to. I did a lovely pound yen trade yesterday on the support resistance account that I've been running. So I took this double top yesterday. I couldn't find the button. I took this double top yesterday here. We had a lovely rejection there yesterday morning. Then we pushed up and rejected again. So I took a short as soon as we rejected again, expecting them to break down below, which they did, added to the position there. So I took one entry there, added a second entry on the break of that low, got them out both down there, 8%, lovely trade. But anyway, forget that, it's just me. So yeah, banked loads yesterday. So we'll have a look at that tomorrow in a bit, see what's been banked. Morning, Outro. Have I missed much on the RB in the last week? Yep, I've absolutely killed it this week. Made over 15 grand. Been one of those weeks where I just want to stop trading and walk away. because it's been an absolute creamer this week. It's been amazing. So yeah, really good week this week on ORBs. So far, week's not over yet. So speaking of ORBs, we've got 45 seconds to go. We've got a gap down on the DAX. So let's have a quick look at the DAX over here, just so we can see. We've still got the gap up on the DAX to fill, which is our target. This is where we're heading. It's taking a long time to get there. So we're, probably next week sometime. But we've got a gap up today. So there's a good chance of a drop, gap fill, and run today. So we'll see how we do. But it certainly looks like it's looking to fill that gap to start with this morning. So if we break short today, just be careful down here, anywhere at that high or at the gap fill itself. So somewhere in that range, just be careful because we may well just drop and then fly back off to the upside. So we'll see where we go. There we go. So I've got one short on. Look at that slippage. That's positive slippage. Actually got positively slipped rather than negatively slipped. That is rare. I got a better price than I actually asked for. But they only got half my position on, which obviously, that'd be interesting to see what the EA makes of that, because the EA's got a rule, this version of the EA, where it works on number of trades, and the number of trades has to be 4. So if this breaks to the upside now, what we should do is go into hedge mode, which means we've got 4 trades on. We haven't. We're going to have 3 trades on. So this is going to screw up all the logic of the EA. That's very rare, though. You only get 1 trigger. So a bit of an anomaly, that. Anyway, let's see. Hopefully we go short. So to our target there, basically, today, as you can see, that's where my initial TP is. That is pretty much perfect for the gap fill. So be happy to take that. And then, obviously, it may well flip back the other way. But we'll see. See where it goes. But as you can see, there's not a massive amount of volume coming in at the moment, as we expect when it's news, because the market doesn't want to put all its eggs in straight away. Just wants to wait for that news to come out, see what the PMI figures are, see whether we're going to get a rally or a drop on the euro. And obviously that affects the DAX because the DAX is priced in euros. So we're waiting to see whether or not the euro is going to get a positive or negative reaction before we start either buying or selling stocks. Because you're obviously going to make more money if the euro goes up when you do your sales, etc., etc. So yeah, so very, very tight 5 minute at the moment going in. 3 minutes left on that though. So, Willie Marco, outro. That'll teach you to go on holiday. Yeah. Yeah. So just to cover yesterday's ORBs, beauty yesterday. So obviously the DAX yesterday, I made about $2,000 on the DAX yesterday morning. It was textbook, simple, easy entry. So yesterday's DAX was break long, TP1 there, TP2 was up somewhere up here, which we didn't get to anyway, but I got taken out on a trailing stop, I think there, something like that. So I had 2 there, which was just under $2,000. Then the NASDAQ 5 minute ORB break short entry, exit at 2R was there, second exit was there, so I took that and that. The S&P was the same trade pretty much. So entry short, TP1 was there, TP2 executed there. Sorry, stop loss, trailing stop loss executed there. So I took 1 there, 1 there. And then on the Dow, I got hedged. So basically on the Dow, I'll put the trades on there, make more sense, wouldn't it? Oh, there we go. So on the Dow, it was basically went long and short at the open, so got hedged. Short trades taken off at 4R. The reason they were taken off at 4R, originally I put the target down to 5R. The EA automatically targets 5R on a hedge, but this was in play. So I basically took TP at support. So I adjusted the TP up to 4R. And then I had long positions pending orders placed. So as soon as that exited, it entered 2 more longs for me. And the exit was at break even on those 2. So I broke even on the long, took the short profit. It was all textbook yesterday. Everything worked out absolutely spot on, which is lovely when it does. Look at my exit. Yeah. The reason that exit wasn't there because that was the exit. So my break even was roughly there. I exited there because of that high and this propulsion gap. Yeah. So my expectation was, because we broke hard and retested that propulsion gap, we knew the sellers sitting there. As we pushed back up into that, we double topped. We hit the limit orders for those sellers that had ended positions there. And the original sellers that started the move added to the positions and drove it back down again, straight back into the support where the buyers started to move. So this is the battle line at the moment. There's your sellers, there's your buyers. Whichever of those levels breaks today is where we go. We'll see what happens. But yeah, lovely day yesterday. So there you go. So triggered short on both of those. So short on the DAX, but no movement. So 8:15, we will get the move today. We might well, just go into hedge mode, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Right. Let's have a look at FX while we're waiting for that to happen. Morning day trader FX. So yesterday, let's quickly look at ADRs to start with. So there's no ADRs today. There's no weeklies here. I know we had a lot of ADRs yesterday. Because I was off yesterday, I was out doing things. I was out mountain biking and golfing and all sorts of stuff. But I did notice in the evening when I came back, there was ADRs all over the place. So I know we had a fair bit of movement on some things yesterday. Obviously not enough movement to give us any weekly range hits. So today, with all the news coming out, we may well get some AWRs to react to as well. So keep an eye on the weekly ranges. If we get some weekly range hits today, could mean reversion opportunities for the rest of the week, because we've got no news for the rest of the week. Nothing really impactive anyway. So ADRs, basically nothing today to look at, nothing on the weeklies. The monthlies we already looked at, but the RSI dashboards are also flat. There's absolutely nothing to look at on RSIs on the 4 hours or the hourlies. So totally dead, totally flat. I know we had some extensions again on these yesterday, but not much. So what I'll do is, again, I'll go through every pair, look for some support resistance plays. And just have a look at everything, really, and see what's going on. But yesterday, obviously, on all that movement, I managed to get some stuff banked. So I banked 1.75% yesterday. While we're going through the trades, through the pairs, I'll look at all the trades that I banked yesterday. Sitting in 3.1 drawdown. There's nothing getting anywhere near scary at the moment. Aussie US is probably the most difficult thing at the minute, just because it's not really going anywhere but grinding. So these moves are nasty, where you get these moves and then multiple day accumulations, like for a week, and then it decides to grind down again and sit there for a week. There's nothing you can do. So basically you just get trapped, and you just have to stay there and wait. So it also frees up the opportunity for them to continue that move, which means you just go another leg down and another leg down. And you just keep getting into multiple legs, which then means you need to look at the higher time frame and go, right, well, if we haven't taken profit on this entire thing yet, and you get down to here, you just have to wait longer. So it just keeps you in those positions for longer. There's nothing you can do about it. So that's where we are with the Aussie US. The danger with this one is, obviously, I don't know why I'm talking about the Aussie US. I should start with Aussie CAD, but while I'm on it, the danger with this one, because that's the one I was talking about, obviously, up there. But the danger with this one is the US dollar, with what was said yesterday, might get another rally. If they decide to announce on Friday that they are worried about inflation again and they want more interest rate rises, that's going to rally the US dollar, potentially. Doesn't always. Every piece of positive news we get on the US has very little reaction. All the negative news collapses it. So there's a possibility we might get some positive news coming out of Powell on Friday. In which case, obviously, that it will do another leg down. But we also could have the inflation isn't going well. It's gone up this time, but we don't think we want to increase interest rates anymore because of unemployment. And then obviously the US will go down and Aussie US will fly. So it doesn't really matter what we do. It's down to Powell and what he says. So I've got 4 positions on that, and obviously in long. We've had a 4-hour RSI extension on it just about there. And again, you wouldn't have got out of that. So whether you took it on the hourly extension, which was there, or the 4-hourly extension, you're in it because it hasn't managed to go anywhere. It's just been very whippy and not really got any direction. So yeah, that's basically where we are with that one. So I'll go through all the pairs this morning. Broken long, so hedged on the DAX this morning. Pain in the backside, never mind. This is the danger. So basically, this is what I said about taking the 5-minute ORB instead of the pre-market. 5-minute ORB on days where you've got news is the safer one because what we tend to do is just hover at the open. And any pre-markets that you take, you obviously run that risk of getting either double-ended stop out if you're using stop losses, or you get hedged if you're not. So that's where I am today. So we'll have to just wait and see how this plays out today. Morning, John. Morning, Michael. We got 5 minutes to the news. So let's start at the top. Aussie dollar CAD. Right, so Aussie dollar CAD. So I'm just going to run through every pair basically because there's no RSIs and no ADRs to look at. So Aussie dollar CAD sideways, totally sideways. Very much the same as the other Aussie dollars. Aussie dollar, US dollar, obviously, we got that range there. Then we went for a little price discovery down into that range there for a week. Then we moved down, and now we're into this range, and we're coming back up into this range. It's just totally range bound. There's your range low, there's your range high, and you are bang in the middle, roughly, of it. Absolutely nothing to do with this at all. You've had a tiny little double top there. You could be pushing down into the low of that range, so you might be able to get around about 3/4 of an ADR, half an ADR movement. It's just not going anywhere, so forget it. Aussie dollar Swiss, this is down at the moment, obviously, as you can see. So much more better opportunity for shorts than longs. We've just taken out the high today. So if you drop down to M5, you've had the reversal alert this morning on this one. Up there, lovely little push up into the highs and then reversal. So lovely M pattern there. And then it's collapsed. So missed that one. But that's really all you had there. So I'd be looking for opportunities potentially at yesterday's low and the previous day's low, because it is a fairly nice area of support, and you've got a little backup there from the weekly low last week. So anywhere in that area down to that area, which is basically 125 to 150 ADR, if it was to get down to there today, nice looking long opportunity. Yeah. So again, today, and this is why we have the ADR dashboard, if you're going to reach for support resistance levels, you're normally going to have to go out your normal daily ranges to get to them. Therefore, the ADR dash obviously lights up and gives us those triggers. So just watch ADR today. So Aussie Swiss, if you get an ADR hit to the downside, potentially got a nice little long opportunity. It is counter trend though. And we've got propulsion gap targets to the upside. That's a really old one now, but we've got these propulsion gap targets to the upside. So watch the PMI figures. If the PMI figures come out as negative for Germany and France, we're going to get a movement down on the Swiss franc, which means that is going to pop. If it comes out positive, we're going to get a move up on the Swiss franc, and that's going to drop. We'll see what happens in 3 minutes' time. Aussie dollar yen, sideways mess. Had a short on that there off of the H1 RSI extension. We had that lovely support bounce we looked at here, which I took on the other account, the support resistance play. That was a lovely little trade. We're bang in the middle of nowhere at the moment. Propulsion to the upside, propulsion to the downside. This could go either way. Flipping a coin, no point in trading it. It's just no advantage anywhere. Aussie New Zealand is at the moment, it's sideways. Obviously, it has been sideways for an entire month, and we're bang in the middle of the range. But it's a beautiful kind of symmetrical triangle formation at the moment on this, which seems to be holding quite nicely. So we're getting to contraction points here. In the next 2 to 3 days, this is going to run out of room, and quite possibly then we'll get some kind of explosive move. The problem you've got, 2 minutes to news, is there's no news coming up for the Aussie or New Zealand this week. So when you go and look at next week's news, we got retail for the Aussie on Monday. We've got Bullock speaking the next day as well. But the main news event that's going to affect that pair is the CPI figure for Wednesday. So if you look at how long we've got to call it kind of contract on this, we're looking at contracting for an entire week. So that much time going forwards. So it's quite difficult to see that symmetrical triangle holding for that period of time. It's got to really, really go tight and not go anywhere, is it? So it's difficult to call at the minute. You've got this obvious low here, which is a previous high. And then we've got that high up there. So I would probably ignore that. I'd be looking for a play off of that. Or if we can get down to that low, again, ADR. If we get an ADR hit this afternoon, wait for the alert and take the long on that one. Aussie US, I've already covered. We've stuck in that one. So let's quickly watch the DAX and let's look at Euro US dollar. Okay, there's your news. DAX broke long. Looks like positive move. 46.6 on a 47.1, so that's negative euro. Negative euro. Sure, I've had. Oh yeah, that's just the French, isn't it? So we've got the German in 15 minutes. Thinking about reacting, isn't it? So we got a little bit of movement. We tapped straight up into the high there, look. That's yesterday's high. Limit orders have all triggered there. So this should be, in theory, a bearish move. If we're going to get positive move off the euro, this should be bearish. However, that was negative euro news, and the euro is rallying. So this isn't necessarily the move that we will get. We've got the German coming out in 15. So wait for the German result. But so manufacturing was positive, services was negative. So it's kind of neutral. The services is more impactive than the manufacturing because there's more service export than manufacturing export from Europe. So there's, well, say that, apart from the car industry, but that's a bit of an anomaly. So kind of neutral, really. We'll wait and see what the German is, but typically it tends to go the same way as the French. So I would expect not a lot of movement off of this necessarily this morning. So might be a bit of a whippy session. If we can get down and get this gap fill done, though, i.e. we get a rally off the euro, that I will probably take off the shorts and then look for either a rotation day to get out of the longs or a push up into that previous gap we've still got in play on the DAX, because we've got that gap fill to do on the DAX still. So the ideal play today would be a short gap fill, exit the short, flip long. And obviously we're not going to hit that today because it's 300 ADR away, but start or continue our move up into that gap fill. We'll see where we go. At the moment, not really anywhere at all. What's my hedge on that? 975, 930. So it's not a lot. Not really doing anything. So we'll wait, give that some time. We've got another 15 minutes until the next news. So, CADs. Morning, Michael. Did I say morning, Michael, already? I remember. CAD Swiss, going nowhere. AG Birch, what you said? You said news in 5 minutes. And I jumped out of BE. Oh, bed, I presume that is. Chug some coffee. Yep, you can go and put your pants on now. Next news is in another 15 minutes, though, so make sure you get back fast. Recurring record here, obviously. CAD Swiss, sideways. everything's sideways, as we know. Potential double bottom on this. Obviously, we just had the spike on the news, which is undoing itself quickly. So I think there's not really a lot of opportunity on this. It is obviously coming down. Everything's coming down against the Swiss franc at the moment, especially the US and the CAD. Any support bounce you take, pretty much you are going to get a profit off of, because they are triggering limit orders off of every low, but we're not actually making any progress. So very hard to call a direction on this at the minute. Not really anything of interest whatsoever. You could look at taking something down there, but you know, we are well within ADR. We are staying well within ADR. This thing's not really getting out of ADR in any way, shape, or form at all. Yeah, there's just no range on it. There's no movement on it at all. So intraday, if it pushes down and it gets anywhere near to ADR, sort of 75% of ADR, flip the other way on it, because that's probably what's going to happen at the moment. But obviously, it's a news day today, so anything could happen. But yeah, nothing much to look at there. CAD yen is holding up at the highs. So we just need to have a quick look at this US dollar yen before I look at any other yens. We're watching the 145 level. So this was the initial intervention from September last year. We had the second reaction at it this year. Back here, there was our second reaction where we were waiting for the Japanese to intervene. The market got that shot across the bow from the Bank of Japan and they dropped it. We hit it again. We've broken out of it, but the market is certainly not interested in rallying, is it? So they're not selling the yen off as much as they could do. But just because we've got no direction on this doesn't mean it's not going to go. So we've got lots of news coming out today. I get the feeling the market is scared to rally against the yen at the moment because of the intervention. So I think what we're waiting for on this one specifically is some indication as to what the US dollar is going to do, which we're going to get on Friday. So from Powell. So I think probably nowhere until Friday, and then Friday we'll probably get some movement off the back of this if we get some confirmation out of Powell as what we're going to do with the interest rates moving forward. But as you can see, we're on day, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sideways. Nothing to do with it. I've been in short on this thing for 9 days since the RSI extension, the H1M5 entry the EA took. I've done 1 drawdown control on it. I've got a second position on it, and I'm just in it. It's been in profit a couple of times, not by enough for me to take. I'm looking just to target that propulsion gap down there. However, if we do break back down below that 145, I can probably move that target down there, because if they reject 145 again, they're probably going to collapse it back into the region we were before we started that rally back up. So we'll see what happens. But CAD yen is the same thing. Obviously, we're not looking at the 145 level, but the same thing is playing out on this. We are setting up at those highs. We are wedge pattern to the upside, which is typically indicative of a break up. But if you break up, you're breaking up straight into resistance, in which case you probably find the limit orders are going to trigger at this level, and then we're going to drop back down. So it really is difficult to tell what's going on with this yen at the minute. And every time you want to get into it with a long position, you've got that thing in the back of your head that says, if they intervene with this, I'm going to get crucified. So you just don't want to long it. So I want to be short, but I can't really find an opportunity to get in short. I took the pound yen yesterday, as I said, on this account, which was a lovely short, because I want to be short. But at the moment, if we push up to ADR today, I'd look at taking a short on that at ADR. So any ADR extensions, I need a reason for the market to be bigger than usual so that I can get in and we know that we're going to get that pullback. Or it's a case of they're pushing to grab liquidity before they pull back into the range, in which case, whichever one you think of as the theory as to why it happens, you're going to go short on it. So looks like a good short. Swiss yen, same thing. Looking for a reason to short. Got out the Swiss yen on Friday last week. Glad I did, because it just pushed back up again. You know, so anything that I get 0.25% or more, 0.5% if lucky, I'm out. because it's just no point in trying to hold anything at the moment, because all we're doing is going into range and rotation on everything until September. So just take whatever you can off the board. If you can get flat on something, brilliant. You're not likely to get back into it till September. So Euro odd. So Euro odd, I've taken one off of this yesterday. So this is one of the profits, that 1.75 I banked yesterday. So there's one Euro odd. We pushed up, made a new lower high. I was looking for a lower low. I got it. And basically the reason I got out of that position there is because I'm expecting potentially just to go up and hold this range. If we don't hold the range, fantastic. I'll be out of the whole lot down there. Happy days, all done. But I'm not going to try and break that low, because we're putting in higher lows constantly. Yeah. So if we are going to put in a higher low, we are not going to invalidate 125 ADR. That's really the maximum we can get to put in our new higher low. So that's where I'm getting out, in that propulsion gap, basically. That's also break even on the position. I've been in it for over 2 weeks. I've taken 3 drawdown controls, banked a nice amount on it. So getting out down here is probably going to make me something like 1/4 to 0.5%. All you can get. You can't get anything out of it. So I'll take it and happily walk away with it. If I can get 5% out of this month, I'll be absolutely ecstatic. Totally sideways. Look for support resistance. We wicked into it this morning. That's a broker candle. So I'll be looking at the yesterday's high, previous day's high, 2 week ago high. If we can push up into these, which is 150, 170 ADR, 175 ADR. Potentially, if we push down into here, would be a decent long. If you look at this previous sort of support, sorry, it's previous resistance area, which is likely to turn support on the gap fill, that's 100 ADR. So if you took an entry there and you put half an ADR stop on it, potentially got a bounce. But there's no reason to obviously get into any position trades on it, because you're not going to get any extensions, which they're going to profit take on, because we're just going sideways. So all you can take is support resistance bounces. Euro Swiss, very similar situation, totally sideways. Since I got out of that messy long, we've just gone sideways, still sideways. This has been a double bottom yesterday, which we're pushing down into now. So again, there's an opportunity potentially for a long on this, back up into these highs. Obviously, we're putting in lower highs constantly, so look for a lower high to go in, which will be around about ADR, that propulsion gap target to the upside possibly. So you could take a long from somewhere down here and play it up into there or up into there maybe, because assuming it's going to continue to the downside. Better trade would be to short it there. But right now, we've just had, oh no, we haven't even had a reverse alert on it, have we? So your reverse alert's all the way up there because of that news spike. It's just so hard to get into, isn't it? It's just not really worth looking at either. Euro pound. Let's just watch the DAX. We've got 3 minutes to go. So we've broken along on the DAX. So we've got an area there which they sold into very hard over and over again, which we are in here. So the ideal today, I think, with what we've got, looking at what we've got now with this break to the upside, is if they can if we get negative German news and we can weaken the euro, if we can get that push up today into 5R, complete that propulsion gap, we'll probably find some sell orders sitting in there, and we're very close to ADR as well. So I'll do exactly what I did yesterday on the Dow, take the profit at 5R and then flip short with a second entry, bring the average up and try and get out at break even on the second position and just bank the first one. Let's see. So yesterday's high is taken out. That previous high there is taken out. So we've got that high there next, which is that support, resistance. Yep, so that's a strong level. That's exactly where we are now at the news. So if this news can break through that level, happy days. If not, we're going to get a fast, sharp reaction to the downside on it. If this comes out as positive news from the DAX, from the German PMIs, we'll probably get a big move down on the DAX. So we'll see. 40 seconds to go. A 71-point move to the upside. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, 10 seconds. 72 watching and only 11 likes. Come on, people, as Dallas said. That means that over 60 of you don't like me. Nice, is it? I missed that. It flew past the news. The news is out. Financial Juicer's got it. 39 on a 38. Positive manufacturing. Services is down. So same thing basically. One positive sort of as expected, one negative. Yeah, so same thing. What we typically tend to always get, which means this will come out the same as well. So it's all negative euro, which is bullish DAX. So we may well get a rally out of that high as limit orders triggering. Look, they are triggering limits at that high. Do I take that long off here and go short? I'm just going to wait for this 5-minute candle to close. We can see the limit orders are triggering here. Look, so we should be seeing a negative reaction on the euro. There you go. So euro pound down. So negative reaction on the euro, which typically would be positive index. So what I would expect to see here is the indices trying to rally. What we're actually seeing is limit orders triggering off of that previous resistance stroke support area, meaning that, yes, the market is rallying, but there's a hell of a lot more sellers shorting at that level than there is able to get through. So just watching this 5-minute candle, just to see if we are going to break high, because what I might do is close this long. If there's that many limit orders triggering short there, we will quite possibly come down and play that gap fill. So what I'll actually do is make the money on the short today and close out the long with a very tiny profit. But I'm going to wait and see what the actual reaction is, see whether those limit orders hold or whether there's enough buying power off that euro drop to get through. At the moment, they're having a bit of a battle. Euro's definitely coming down. So it's all negative euro. Brilliant. I got euro pound long. We'll look at that one in a sec. Just watching this low on the previous candle just to see if we get a new lower low put in. But at the moment we're higher low, higher high. So there is more bulls and bears. Okay, so there goes that high, that low rather. So we're outside bar now. This is tricky. This should be going the other way, really. Drawdown control done on the euro pound. Okay, closing the long might be the wrong thing to do today. Closing the long, I'm going to go for a 2R on the short. Let's get a little bit of profit in if it breaks short. So I'm looking for that gap fill to be done. The problem with this trade, and the reason I'm wary about closing this out, and I think it might be the wrong thing to do, is because the DAX should be going short of that news. If the DAX is going to move the way it has just gone, this should be going up. The fact that there's a lot of limits triggering there, driving this down, does not mean we're not going long on the DAX. That's what we should be doing. But there's an awful lot of selling pressure. So this could well just be the pullback on the next leg up, which means I've just closed out the trade that's going to go profitable today, which means it's going to be a nasty loss today. So we've got an outside bar, bearish engulfing. So that is obviously bearish, but just because that's a bearish candle doesn't mean the next candle is not going to be bullish. We'll see where we go. But there's certainly a lot of resistance at that level we looked at. We're coming off of this area here. So strong support twice. We finally broke it and used it as resistance. Resistance. Limit order triggers as resistance to push back down into that gap. That's what I'm expecting. And then rally back up again. We'll see where we go. Fire Christ, nice short on the Swiss yen. Look. Yes, it's pulling back up. So yeah, loads of ADRs just gone off. I'm on Euro Pound. Let me just get through these Euros. So yeah, Euro Pound, obviously I've got longs on at the moment. Waiting for some Euro strength. That ain't going to help, is it? All the negative PMI figures. But I've only got 2 positions on this. So I've just done drawdown control 1 on the initial position on that spike. So that's 1.5 ADR to the downside. So it's done a drawdown control on a third of that position for me. And basically looking for a break up. Although right now what I want is actually, yeah, no, I do want that to break up. I want the euro to go strong because that drives the DAX down. So that would be lovely if we can push up now. But we have just had negative news. So it depends what the market makes of this. But there's no real support resistance areas to look at on this because this is a position trade from earlier. We have, however, just tapped into that monthly low. So last month's low is basically what we've just swept there. So this could be limit order triggers on these lows basically firing, and we're going to push back up into propulsion. Would make sense, wouldn't it? So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, obviously this is in a very wide range at the moment. Just can't get any strength on this euro, and the pound has been very strong, obviously, as you can see. So, but in long on the extension, we haven't done a profit take. So that entire move there was no profit take move. We went into accumulation. We put a second leg. So if this pushes down again, obviously just keep scaling in, and then that will be an even bigger move that we will do a profit take on at some point in the next week or so. Euro yen, same as all the other yens. Waiting to see what happens with the Japanese yen. Totally sideways. So I'd be looking for highs. Wouldn't want to long it. Just want to short it. So if this continues down today, we could look at this area potentially for a short play. But nothing exciting on that one. Euro New Zealand, I am short. Target is propulsion gap. Well within ADR. So this is one of the ones I closed out on yesterday. So as you can see, I had a entry up there, which was entry number 5. So that was entry 5. Closed that one out yesterday for a nice profit at those lows, and it continued down yesterday. So I got out too early on it. But the reason I got out on it was because this trade had become profitable as well. So I could take that one off, and then I'm still in profit on one position. Average is there, which was nicely within ADR. We're in profit on it today. I'm targeting this propulsion gap. Yeah. So that's the target, well within ADR, easy to hit today, gets me out of all the positions, nice profit across the board. Done a fair bit of drawdown control, so 250 half, so 7.5 0.75% drawdown control done, and I think I banked 0.5% yesterday, so that would be probably 0.5% roughly overall on the entire position. And euro US dollar, not going anywhere. I haven't got any positions on it. There was a lovely double bottom bounce here yesterday off of this low. So this old last month's low, basically. It was a double bottom initially, but it wasn't a particularly great. I suppose it wasn't a bad resistance previously. So yeah, it's not a bad support resistance zone. We got the bounce off of it yesterday, so the limit orders triggered yesterday on this one. Obviously, as soon as they hit it, they tap straight into it. All the limits fired and pushed back. We've gone sideways, started to rally, and obviously that news has just caned it this morning. So this is either a run on these buys yesterday, or more than likely negative move on the poor old euro. So not really interested in getting into that today, not off the back of that news. Traders pair, ECB wages and chance. Missed it. ECB wages and the chance of a 25 basis point September hike now at 40%. So 40% hike for the euro. 25% hike for the euro, which is the norm, 40%. So it's roughly 50-50 whether we're going to hit a 4.25 next month, which we kind of knew anyway. So there's euro US dollar. There's all the euros done. Swiss yen took a short on. Yeah. Very nice. Propulsion gaps just filled. The back of that accumulation. You still got that there as well. That did break that high, so actually I'd say that's probably the valid target today. And then obviously if that doesn't hold and they don't add into that, then you'll be looking at coming down to 125 ADR. That was a lovely double top. So I did look at taking that one. Yes, actually I did take that one. There we go. So that was a good play today, getting out of those longs. So we're in profit on the shorts by $600, $300 loss. So I can net 300 now. So watch this propulsion gap, watch those there, but this is where I would look for the reaction today. And then obviously the actual gap fill. But quite often you will see the market react not at the gap, but at the high before the gap as well. So this whole area here kind of becomes an area where they start to rectify the move, but you can never tell. It's very hit and miss. But if it gets to there, I class that as done. So that's I might as well actually just move. Just in case, what's the spread? Not a lot. Just in case they do hit to the pip, which they do. You know, if they hit that to the pip, I don't want to have my TP there, do I? In fact, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go for the gap fill, but I'm going to close out one. So I'll close out the bigger short when we get down to the first level. Assuming this doesn't hold, and then see if I can get a run down to there. That'll probably bank about $800. Tell you what I do. Rather than mucking about, I'll make it like that. There you go. And then that's done, isn't it? So if I trail it by fact, what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to trail both of these. It's rejecting really well off of that. Come on. I was just going to, I put a trailer of 300 or 30 pips, 30 points on this second position, so that when we hit this TP, basically, the second position will immediately go to break even and trail down to that target. So just going to just protect the second position. Got to get there first. PMI down, car industry down, DAX down. Certainly looks that way. GJ, we'll have a look at that in a minute, Peter. Morning, Ian. So I got really itchy nose. Come back to that in a minute. Right, so pounds. Pound odd. So sideways on the pound odd for the last 4 days, as you can see. Nothing particularly exciting going on this. That high, I'd be interested in potentially shorting up there, but I'd much rather long somewhere out of here. So that area there, basically, so that is our resistance. Hit it twice, came back, tested it twice. Can't quite see, can you, if I zoom in? Yeah, so I'll draw it on with a line. It makes it obvious then. So we pushed up, tested, broke it, tested. Yeah, very strong support resistance area, 175 ADR, top of that propulsion gap. There's your propulsion move, breaks the high. That's where the buyers started. That's where the buyers will add. So basically, best play on this, because the pound is a long, the Aussie is a short, is coming down into here and taking a long. So as for a support resistance play, getting in there, roughly half an ADR stop, and then look for it to break out those highs at some point. But right now, you could try and take a short up at the highs, which is yesterday's high, previous day's high, last week's high. But obviously, you're going against fundamentals. The pound is longer than the Aussie. So not a great opportunity on that one at the minute. Pound CAD, that came off the highs yesterday. Again, sideways. That area there is the support resistance zone. So that's ADR. So if we get an ADR hit to the downside, be interested in longing it. The thing that worries me about this is the amount of propulsion gap targets to the downside, and it's Canadian dollar. So if oil rallies, which is not at the moment, but if oil does rally back up to these highs, up to the 84.5 barrel, we're going to get some movement in the Canadian dollar, which will obviously drive this down. So we have on Friday got Powell speaking and Lagarde speaking. We might get something out of Bailey on Friday as well, which might give us some indication as to what's happening with the pound. But it's very, very, very quiet on the pound front at the moment. Not a lot of news coming out. So you could look at taking a long out of the previous day's low, which is ADR, but just be careful. So, well, you say you can't be careful. It will do what it does. But just bear in mind that the downside risks are coming down and filling all these propulsion gaps. So, look at the legs on it. It's very orderly at the moment. So we've got the low, the high, higher low, higher high. Looking for a higher low somewhere, but that's where the previous low is. So a higher low could happen anywhere in there and here. Yeah, if we're going to continue leg up, because we haven't tested these highs yet. So if it rallies up into these highs at ADR, you're probably going to get a reaction. If it pushes down, you're probably going to come and test that high at some point. So you're looking for somewhere to buy it. Down here, somewhere. Could bounce anywhere though. Very difficult at the minute. Pound CAD. Pound Swiss. There was the double top off of previous support. So that was the trade down into propulsion. But again, I'd be interested down here. Might be interested here. Basically 200 ADR, but we're not going to get there. If we do, we're not going to get there until later this week, if lucky. Unlikely. So I'd be interested in longing it down there somewhere. That was a nice short bounce, but it hasn't gone anywhere for 2 days, is it? So again, nothing of interest there really. Pound yen in short on this one at the moment. Come on, DAX, what are you doing? I've got an opportunity to jump out of this with $600 a loss today, and I just kind of want to take it. I don't trust it today. That's 932. 45. I'm gonna stop out just above the middle of this move. If this doesn't go anywhere, if this doesn't do this gap fill now, it's not going to, I don't think, or it's going to find it very hard, and it's probably just going to chop around like this for a while, and then there's an opportunity it could break long or short. If it does that, it either needs to sort it or not. So I'd rather take a loss today and just accept the whipsaw. Remember earlier I'd locked in $1,000 loss, right? I've taken a $300 loss. If that equates to roughly $700 loss, I've just locked in the $1,000 loss I had on the hedge initially. So I haven't lost anything, I haven't gained anything. So I've got an opportunity to either gain and come out on top today or get out with the hedge, which is what I had initially. I was dealt initially a hedge. That's what I dealt with. So that's the way I look at it at the minute. It's very difficult to make money when the market's like this. You've got news events that have gone the other way to what we were expecting them to do. And the market is not reacting in the way that you expect it to. So you just have to basically, you're in the lap of the gods as to whether the thing's going to rally or drop. So you just have to use your maths basically and go, well, if I can take a grand loss out of this nightmare this morning, that's fine. I made 8K yesterday. So I've got 7 grand in the bank to play around with today, haven't I? So that's the way I'm looking at it. So it's either going to make a profit or it's going to stop out and I'll be done with it, and we'll try and work the New York session this afternoon. But to be honest, I'm not holding up much hope for that either. Probably going to do something very similar. Pound yen. So I'm short on this at the moment. It's in profit. Let me just have a quick look at what my P&L is like after that news. Euro New Zealand. Euro New Zealand, I'm just going to bank one. 0.5%. Pound yen, which we're on. I'm going to bank that as well. My TP basically is just at ADR on this position. I'm not going to let that rally back and lose that. So I'm just going to close that. I'll add that position back on again in propulsion. So that position I've just taken off. If we rally back, I'll add it back on. If it drops, I'll get out of the entire position later, tomorrow or Friday. So just exactly the same look. This is the reason I'm doing this at the moment, because we're so range bound. There's just no point in letting this profit go. If we're going to continue higher, what are we going to do? We're going to put in a higher low. Yeah. What is that? Higher low. Yeah. So if we are going to continue market structure long, that is where we're going to go from. So it gives me the opportunity to add that position on and take it back off again. So it doesn't make any sense to just let this do that and take this back to no profit. I might as well bank 0.4%, add it on again. If we're going to double top or triple top there, and then we're going to break, I'll take it again. So I'll take that same trade 3 times and bank 1.2% over the period of a week, because it's not going anywhere. So you're making money while the market's not moving, basically, is the theory. So 0.8 banked today on the pound yen. I'm still in it short, obviously. Have been in it short since the initial RSI extension. So that was the H1M5 entry with the EA there. We didn't get a push down far enough to take a profit. We pulled back up, second position, third position. And obviously you can see where the fourth was, which was taken off, added again, taken off. I'll do the same thing. If this continues to range, I will just keep adding it on, waiting for the Japanese to kick the market into movement. But that is actually a pretty good move off of the back of that Euro news. So if we can get a push down lower than that low and break that low, we've got this area of sort of balance or accumulation there, which we broke out of, which is these propulsion gaps. And then the next level is that propulsion gap there. So I'm basically just looking to try and get out somewhere in profit down there at the moment on this one. Pound New Zealand, took one off on that yesterday. So that was the entry taken on Monday. Took that one off yesterday. Same principle. If we're going to do all this range bound stuff, yeah, I'm just going to keep adding, taking, adding, taking, adding, taking until it decides to do the profit take on the big move that I originally got into. And then I'll get out of the rest of it. So target is down in this propulsion gap here. This is the actual support resistance area there, above that propulsion gap. So what I'm hoping they will do is hit that propulsion gap and bounce back out, go long. So just waiting for some movement down. But again, pound, we've got the news coming out this afternoon on that one at, this morning. No. Yeah, sorry, this morning, 9:30. So the pound PMI figures obviously will move the pound this morning. Often we find, we got the 3 minutes, we've got the Euro combined PMIs, which will probably come out as they have there. We often will follow Europe as well. So I would expect potentially negative move off the pound later on this morning. So just bear that in mind as well. Pulling teeth today, isn't it? So yeah, pound New Zealand in short from the initial H1 extension. This was a dodgy trade anyway because it was counter trend, but anyway, 3 positions on, fourth taken off. We'll add back on if necessary, but if it works out, straight back down into exit there. You've got a double top formation at 150 ADR. So if this does rally back up into there, you've got a double top opportunity from a support resistance bounce. To the downside, there's many places, but that would be the area that I would look at, 125 ADR for longs. If we get down to that 125 ADR level, I will probably take it off. So I'll be watching the ADR dashboard today and watching for alerts. Euro yen, we've just had an ADR on. Just do pound US dollar. Pound US dollar is very easy. It's totally sideways. Has been for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Not going anywhere. I've been long on it since the initial H1M5 entry and hasn't gone anywhere. So I'm in 3 positions and I've been in the 3rd position now. I took one off. This is how bad this one is, look. That was the position. Sorry, really itching. I've probably got some creature in my nose. So it took that was the initial 3rd position, which I took off. Added it again somewhere. It's there anyway. The 3rd position again now. As you can see, that 3rd position since I got into it, literally haven't had a chance to take a profit on it. It's just not gone far enough. ADR, or sorry, my average is 125 ADR. I literally, all I need is a push, one push from the pound or one drop from the US dollar to an ADR. We haven't had one. So I just can't get out of it. It's just stuck sideways. So if it drops, it'd probably be better actually if we had a drop in the pound or a rally in the US dollar to get this thing down to these lows. At least then I can take another position, draw that average down and get back out at this high. But it's just not going anywhere. I can't even get a position on it. So sideways, total sideways. Euro yen, there's your first ADR of the day. M5, wait for the reversal alert on this. You're probably not going to get one because it's a new spike. Yeah, it's a gap down as well. So you're not going to get a reversal alert off this. So the only thing you can do really with this is watch price action. So there's your low from the news. There's your push back up again. So there's your first leg. Yeah. So watch for basically that. So any kind of bullish price action down here, double bottom, or you might get a stop hunt W. Yeah. So a push down below that level and then a push back up again. That would be a decent entry coming back up into there. New Zealand. Euro yen RSI extension as well now. So you got an H1 RSI extension and ADR hit on that now. Uh, 48.3 on a 50 for services. 48.3 on a 50 for services, negative. Manufacturing, positive. So exactly the same as the news. Yeah. So we got manufacturing, positives, services, negatives. So it's very rare that comes out different to these. That's why I say this is an orange news event, because we've had the news. So don't need to be told again what is happening in Europe. New Zealand dollar CAD. Short it up there if you can get there. Long it there if you can get there. It's just totally sideways. So that would be a short. If it pushes up, you can get a short in at ADR and that monthly level. To be honest, I don't really want to take this in anyway, but that's a better support. And if you get down to there, it's 125 ADR as well. So you're going to have much more reason to long it out of there. It's not going to get down there today. It's going to need some serious US dollar or CAD PMI figures later. It's CAD retail, isn't it, as well? Yeah, it's CAD retail at 130. So it's going to need really bad CAD retail and really bad US PMIs to get this down to 125 ADR today. But if it did, that'd be a nice little long. New Zealand Swiss, two longs on this at the moment. It's in profit, very much the same as the other one. I'm literally just looking to try and get out in that propulsion gap if we can get there, and take about 1/3% off of it or something. You know, just trying to get out of these sideways moves, but nothing much happening. New Zealand dollar yen. So if you want to take support resistance bounce on it, it's the same as the New Zealand dollar CAD basically, just over 125 ADR for longs. Shorts up here, so you got that support there, resistance. So this area at ADR again, ADR hit to the upside, good short opportunity back down into propulsion. But yeah, that's that one. New Zealand yen, same as the other yens. So obviously we know the Aussie yen and New Zealand dollar yen are the two that haven't managed to make any progress against the yen because they've had bad CPI and inflation figures. So these two are bearish, Aussie and New Zealand at the moment. So really you want to be looking for shorts, specifically shorts on this one, definitely. You need a push up to get in short. So either last week's high, previous week's high, 3 week ago high. It's got to take some serious positive news on the New Zealand, and we haven't got any news planned to get up there. So the other thing you can do is if you wanted to just take a break short, like that H1 RSI, H1 market reversal alert there, short that, stop above the high, assume you're going to put in a lower low somewhere before last month's high. Nothing much to do with it. New Zealand US sideways now for a week and a bit. Very difficult to know what's going on with this US dollar at the moment. There's no reason for the New Zealand dollar to particularly be bearish. We have got to move up into propulsion there which potentially will be the pullback on that leg or another leg down. However, if we get positive PMIs on the US, this is just going to go today. So again, you can't do anything. You can't do technical analysis on something that is going sideways because there is no movement. So it's very difficult to be a technical analyst of market structure when there isn't any structure in the market. But as you can see, it's going sideways. Doesn't take a rocket science to know that you buy it at the lows and sell it at the highs. So if it goes up to the weekly highs, you sell it. If it goes down to the weekly lows, you buy it. Other than that, if you get any RSI extensions, and we do get some movement this month, that's what we are looking for, but can't do anything with that. US dollar CAD, have been short since the RSI extension. We've moved 3.5 ADR in pretty much a month in a slow grind. We are now sideways for 5 days. So totally stuck on the US dollar CAD. It's 150 ADR for my out. I'd happily take it if it gave it to me, but it's not moving anywhere. So just waiting for the news. Hopefully negative PMIs and positive retail. So I want positive Canadian dollar retail, which drives down the US dollar CAD. And then I want the PMI figures for the US dollar to come out negative to drive it down further. So what I'm planning to do is this position, we've got 3 positions on at the moment. First one off of that, 2nd of August. 2nd of August. Second position was there. Third position was there. If this does push down for any reason to 150 ADR, I'm hoping I'm taking that off. And then I'll add it back on again if we get back up there. But again, just bank something. If you get something in the bank, bank it. Don't really need to say anything on that one, do I? It's going sideways. Short the highs. If you get there. Lows. I mean, there's so many lows you could pick. Any one of them could be a reaction point. There's no bias on it, long or short. So, you know, it's just very, very difficult to do anything with it. Get it. And our friend US dollar yen, back to break even on that one now. Just hoping for some negative US news. Oil. So the oil play was off the back of this, what we were anticipating being a pullback long from the highs. So we've been in this range now for the entire year. So there was our initial support area that broke, tested it, came back up, tested it, broke it, tested it, tested it, tested it, tested it. So this is the area, this $83.50 a barrel that we've been looking at, which we've been stuck in a range for the entire year now. So we're in month 8, nearly month 9 of completely sideways movement between 67 and 83 a barrel. The play that we were looking at was the bounce off of 83, which is the previous resistance, which is this orange line drawn in, which happened. And then I said, watch for long bounces there, which happened. But we have now pulled back down into that area again. So there's not enough buyers in the market to have another go at that high. The sellers don't seem to have enough power to break back down and get a 38 retracement on that move either. So there's just nothing on oil in any direction either. So you would have to say the best trade at the moment is going to be off of these lows, which is within ADR today. So if we drop down into these lows and you get a limit order bounce there, that will give you that 5-minute reversal alert. Yeah, so you'll get a reversal alert on the 5-minute time frame. Take that potentially for a range move all the way back up to $83 a barrel. So we're getting close to a level today, which makes sense to go long. Yeah, this is a backup, which is 150 ADR. So if you wanted to take a position trade on this one, you can try one off of these lows, add a second at 150. So that's going to be half an ADR apart. Wait for a reversal alert down there somewhere and that propulsion gap as well. And then you could average into a move back up into 83. 84 rather. So yeah, somewhere up there. But that's all there is on that at the moment. There we go. There is your analysis done. The DAX is stalled. So I'm just going to reduce risk on this above the propulsion gap. We haven't managed to get the gap fill done. We've run out of buyers and sellers. We've just run out of volume. So, morning, Ian. Great love, immortal, venerable. Morning. You got to change your name. Too long. Dan Bold. How do you see oil? Crude oil. Done that already. Indogram. Morning. I'm late to the stream. Can I get clarity on the NASDAQ? Not to this afternoon. Why would you want to look at the NASDAQ in the Frankfurt session? NASDAQ moves in the afternoons. Bulls and bears market secrets. Gold, please. No. Not with a name like that. Sorry. You're obviously a signal seller, and I ain't going to be your signal source. Give me one sec. And the fact that you've got market secrets, obviously, I suspect you are trying to extort money out of poor people learning to trade. Yeah, NASDAQ. If you're looking for longer term, I mean, longer term outlook on the NASDAQ, we are returning. Am I on the right chart? Yeah, we are returning back into a bull calm. Well, I say that. Do you remember I said last week before, or the last couple of weeks I've been saying it looks like we're returning back into a bull calm, which is lovely because we're going to start to trend again, and I can turn on the EA to buy the pullbacks and just start getting back to normal. I was looking for a bounce out the 24.72 zone. What we've actually got is a break of the 72. Yes, we're rallying at the moment, but not with any real conviction. We've come off of this low on the S&P, but we are literally in a flag at the minute, kind of a sort of very long, elongated flag. So there is a chance that this might break to the upside and we get the 72 bounce to continue, which is not unusual. It happens. But it doesn't seem to have an awful lot of conviction. So from a long-term perspective on these indices at the moment, yes, they look like we're returning back into a bull market. But this is a very deep pullback. This isn't normally what we experience. We normally experience pullbacks into the 24 or just below the 24. The 72 is what we get to when we're in trouble. Something's wrong. So it's kind of a little alert signal. I still don't have faith in this market at the moment. I don't think we're out of this COVID problem yet. We've got 2 more bubbles on the horizon. The first is the housing market. That is about to pop. And that typically causes a crash in the markets, specifically in the indices, in stocks. The second bubble we've got is the interest rate bubble, which is causing the housing bubble. That housing, when that housing market collapses, there will be incredible pressure on the banks to drop interest rates, because if you don't do that, you cannot solve the housing bubble market problem. If you drop your interest rates, you create higher inflation and you create lower unemployment. But what you do is you drive up the prices of everything, causing the wage price crisis to intensify, which is at the other extreme at the moment, at a bubble about to pop. So we've got the housing market collapsing, we've got people aren't earning enough money, and we've got everything costing too much. All 3 of those still got to be sorted. So I don't think this market has actually got on top of the problems caused by COVID and the Russian issues at the minute. So I'm trying my hardest to go and be positive about this moving up, but this move is too deep. If you go back and look at what we normally experience in a bull calm, yeah, so look at this nice bull calm rally, which is what we have normally. Yeah, we do break the 72, but it's like this is a problem. If the market is dropped for 2 weeks, something's wrong, because it's manufactured to make money. Companies are manufactured to make money. Yeah. So the fact that we've had our first attempt to go long, and the first thing we've done is hit a problem, means I just don't think this is actually ready yet. I think we might well do something like this for a bit and go sideways and try and, obviously you can see from the volatility, yeah, this is a bear volatile. Look at the size of the candlesticks and the movements in the bear volatile market, and look at the size of the candlesticks in a bull calm. So the volatility has moved back into norms, but the movement hasn't quite got there yet. So this week is the week I was anticipating or toying with the idea of putting my EA on that buys pullbacks, which is basically the market reverse alert EA set file for the S&P 500. I'm still not convinced, because it might want to come down and test that 200 moving average. I mean, it does, obviously, market doesn't test lines because lines don't exist, but we use that as a measurement of, are we bullish or are we bearish? And we are bullish, but not very bullish, not bullish enough for me. So this could well be the start. So from a long-term perspective on the indices, like the NASDAQ, yeah, it looks like we should be looking for longs, but not convincingly. This is not a convincing bull market. This is 1, 2, just about 3 up days in 2 weeks. That's not bullish, that's bearish. So I don't know, but I'm not, I just go with the market. So this is why I say there's no point in analyzing the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ for me is an intraday instrument. So you are trading it on low time frames, and you are trading momentum. It's a momentum instrument. So you just trade the momentum of whatever it does. So if it wants to break long, this is what the opening range breakout strategy is all about. If it wants to break long today, go long. If it wants to break short, go short. If it breaks both ways, if you want to, you can hedge it and wait for the market to go into rotation and get out of both of them. Yeah. So just, there's no point in looking at it really until the afternoon and seeing which way it goes and looking at intraday levels. Yeah. So we'll be watching the intraday levels at the open for reactions, exactly what we did with the DAX today, which is exactly why I got out of that. Yeah, I'm out. So there you go. That was basically my hedge profit, wasn't it? $1,000. It's not doing anything conducive to making money today, so we don't make money. So, but yeah, that's why I got out of those shorts. Yeah, because we hit resistance. So the market moves. The indices moved from support resistance. The reason we started selling stocks there was because there was no demand to buy the stocks at that level. So, or there was no supply of stock at that level, and we basically get out. So intraday, just look for levels. So I still think that is on the cards today, except if it's going to do this big whippy, get down there like that, it's just really, really hard to make money out of it. So forget it. Forget about it. Ladder, DAX coming back up, might be worth another shot. Yeah, if you want to take another shot at a long, I can't be bothered. There's no point. The danger of taking another trade here in any direction is stopping out again. So I don't want to make $1,000 loss or $2,000 loss. I'd much rather wait for days like yesterday where I made 8K across the lot and just go, yep, those are the days. These days, if you push it, you could turn that $1,000 into $3,000 or $4,000 loss by getting cross. So where you are now, what are you going to do? Yeah, we're in an expanding wedge with a target to the downside and a target to the upside. Which way is this going to go? So you can flip a coin if you want to, but do you really want to take a trade from the middle of that range? The only reason you would take a trade from there is you're assuming that that is the high of the session, that is the low, and you're going to put in a market structure lower high to fill the gap. So if that's the play, that's where you want to go short, definitely. That's the only reason to take a short there. I don't know. Don't forget, this here, this candle is a news spike as well. So in the wrong direction as well, I would say. It's too confusing today to try and, I think, eke any money out of it. Right. Wait a minute, one sec. Rajiv, did you try using ChatGPT for trading? No. Remember you mentioning it when I first started watching your stream? No, I don't need to. ChatGPT will code for you. I've used it for coding bits and pieces, just for laziness, really. When you code, there's stuff that you don't know how to do because you've never done it before, and the stuff that you think should be done in one way, and then you think actually it's probably better to do it in another way, and you're not sure which way. Ask ChatGPT, but it doesn't know how to trade. Sorry, it's just waiting to see if there's a delivery coming. The dog's barking. The dog alarm's gone off, so I'm just wondering if the delivery is there. So yeah, no. I find the information it pulls up to test through observation fascinating, to quote Spock. Fascinating. Sorry, there's a delivery here. 1 second. 1 sec. That's right. I have children now that can go and get the door. Slaves. Yeah. So it's the same as all the, all this AI stuff. You've got people like Greg Secker now pumping out AI products. Yeah. AI doesn't know what's coming in the future any more than you or I do. Yeah. Just look at this DAX today. Which way is it going, up or down? You can't tell me that AI knows which way this is going. Of course it doesn't. It hasn't got a clue. Banks don't know which way this is going because they don't know whether there's more buyers or sellers in the market today. They'll try and do what they want to do, but AI can't predict which way this is going. ChatGPT can't tell you which way this is going. ChatGPT can come up with a load of strategies that are all over the internet, and it can do some testing on it, but I can do all that myself. And the other thing about ChatGPT is, do you want to trust any tests it does? Unless you can verify exactly how it's done those tests, what data it's used, and eyeball everything it's doing, this is when it's as good as me saying, I've done a test on this, take it. Yeah. If I was you, I would go and retest what I've done to make sure I'm right. Otherwise, I wouldn't put my money into it. And I don't. I test my stuff with my data in the way that I do it because I have confidence in what I do. Other people, if they do tests, like there's loads of opening range strategies out there tested by Oxford University. I got their data, went through it and looked at it and I was like, yeah, mathematically, but in the real world, that's not going to work. So there's all sorts of things that ChatGPT and AI is going to be useful for. In the trading industry, I don't really know what it is, apart from giving everybody like Greg Secker an opportunity to sell more products that won't work. Yeah, that's what AI is going to be used for. Is selling AI products. Yeah. My opinion on it anyway. I'm certainly not coming out with an AI product. It can't help me. It's good for explaining things in reference to trading. Yeah. AI's got some fantastic, I use AI all the time. I've got ChatGPT literally on my hot links here. Yeah. So I use it all the time. When I need to know something, it's like Alexa, but more detailed. So I use it for clarification on stuff, and as I say, for coding, especially for coding things. It's like I'll code something and go, why is that not working? And I'll just chuck the code in and go, why does this not do this? And it will go, well, because you haven't done that. And I'm like, of course. Saves me about 20 minutes of researching crap on the web. It's done it for me, basically. That's what it's useful for. 5 minutes to the news on the pound. So I'll hang around until that news has gone through on the pound. And then I'm basically done for the morning. So a little loss on the DAX this morning, but very hard to make money out of the DAX this morning. Didn't want to play ball. Which way do I expect the pound to go on the upcoming news? I don't think I'm going to have time to do this. But I know someone that might know. Oh, God. Got to go upgrade now, have you? I'm sorry, but I don't have access to real-time information. In my training only goes up until September 2021. Really? The direction of the pound in response to PMI, Purchasing Managers Index even, can be influenced by a variety of factors, including market sentiment, economic indicators, geopolitical events, and more. To get the most accurate and up-to-date information, recommend checking the financial news sources. I recommend being a trader is basically what it's saying, isn't it? Funnily enough. Anyway, sorry, Wayne, I'm only joking, obviously. I don't know. If I knew that, I'd go that way, wouldn't I? Tell you what, let's do it. What's the best thing to trade today? Buy the pound odd or sell the pound US dollar? So seeing as all the other PMIs came out as a mix, let's assume we're going to get a mix. The reaction on the euro was negative. So let's assume we're going to get a negative reaction. So pound odd is a buy, pound US dollar is a sell. So the best thing to do is, I guess, sell the pound US dollar. So let's have a crack at that. Stop would be somewhere in the region of 40. Let's go with a 1.5 bar. So sell stop under the last candle. Whoops, cancel. 600, not 60. Actually, it's a news event. Let's assume it's going to be really bad. Let's go for 2R. So sell stop under the last candle. And we'll see if we can get a flush. Because the pound went short. What's the worst thing that can happen? I can lose 2.5% of my account. Should have been clearer. Yes, in terms of coding. Do you ever have situations where you take 3 ORB ranges with 1% per trade? No. You could do. Back test it, Mumo. You can take a pre-market range, a 5-minute range, and then maybe a 15-minute range. But the problem you're going to find with doing something like that is, let's say, for example, there's your pre-market range. It breaks long. There's your 5-minute range. The 5-minute ORB goes long. There's your 15-minute range. You've made profit on that. Yeah. So let's say it then breaks long on the 15-minute range and then comes back down to retest. You're stuck in a 15-minute trade long in drawdown after having made a lovely amount of cash. Yeah. Take your initial break. If it works, you're done for the day. Stop. That's it. If you keep adding if you get a pre-market break long and then a 5-minute break long, you've basically added to your winning trade. And then if you get the break on the 5, which carries on for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, that's exactly what you should be doing, adding to your winners. Yeah, so that's perfect. But if you take the third range, you're probably taking the third range just before the market's going to pull back. And then if the market does a reversal from the initial move, you're going to take a loss on that third position, which is going to wipe out half, if not all, maybe, of your previous winnings. So pick one. They all work. The pre-markets work. The 5 minutes work. I don't really want to take this there. I'm just going to move it down under the previous candle because I don't want to get triggered before the news. I'm going to give it a little bit of room. So yeah, don't, you know, the idea is to make money. If you take a trade and it works, you've made money. There goes the spread. And we're short. Oh, look at that slippage. That's a big slip. So my initial entry was there. I got triggered there. So that, whatever that distance is now, is more than 2.5%. So let's assume the PMIs are negative. Both down. Negative on both. Manufacturing and services, both down. So UK came out worse than the Europe. Good short. Pound US dollar. We're going to get some ADRs hit now. Oh, the pounds are going off. Look. Euro pound. So today what am I? Yeah, I'm short pound. Excellent. Let's go. Thanks for that, Wayne. You might make me a couple of percent here. We've hit ADR though, so not sure how much I'm just going to move my stop loss down. So stop. Got that level, that level, that level, and that level. Stop just above those. It's obviously below that propulsion gap. So if this is just a fake move, just reducing the risk on the position a little bit, I think that's still going to be a pretty high risk, to be honest, because that slippage. Yeah, still risking 2.3%. Shows you how much slippage affects your account, yeah, on that trade. So I've just reduced my stop loss down from where it initially was, and I'm still in 2.3% risk. I was in 2.5 at the beginning, so that was a big slip. This is why news trading doesn't work. People don't factor in slippage. You can trade news, you can simulate trading news, you can do backtest trading news. You can't simulate slippage. It's down to each broker individually. You're never going to get the same result on 2 backtests. Not good. You either have to be in before the news and that 50-50 of you getting it the right direction or not. That's how you make your money. If you try and trade pre-market breaks of news, 90% of the time, you get slipped. Looks good on paper, looks good in theory, in practice. Doesn't work. JC, I find when hedged with ORB, it gives me time. Yeah. Today I got out with a -1R and stopped trading. Exactly what I did, JC. You must have been watching me. But yeah, that's what it's designed to do. It gives you that time to think. That's the beauty of it. Like I said, I haven't had time to do much development on the new version of the EA that I'm building because I've just been busy with summer holidays and stuff and the kids and things. But that hedging strategy is great because there's only 2 things really are going to happen at the open. Whichever break you're taking, whether it be the pre-market, the 5-minute, the 15-minute, whatever it is you take, whichever break you decide, there's one of 2 things is going to happen. You're either going to get the break and it's going to hit your target, or you're going to get the break. It's going to fall short of your target and give you a chance to break even and lose no money, or it's going to hedge you. Yeah. So the first two, you can't lose. The second one, you have an opportunity not to lose. You haven't lost anything. That's the beauty of it. So days like yesterday, where we had the NASDAQ, yeah, clean break, grand. Same with the S&P. Clean break, $2,000. Yeah. The DAX yesterday, clean break, $2,000. Yeah. So there's $5,000 there on clean breaks. I haven't done anything. Sat there, waited for the market to open and just took the money off the table. The only one I had to deal with was the Dow. And then the Dow, and this is what I need to develop more. The Dow was a hedge. So when you hedge, what I'm doing when I hedge is not taking a small profit, taking a big profit at a level of support resistance with the assumption that you're going to get the bounce. And most of the time you will get the bounce because that's what happens in the market, isn't it? And if it doesn't get the bounce, what it tends to do is overshoot slightly and then pull back. Either way, you get out with less loss than you make. So these hedged ones, you either lock in that negative whatever your risk is, or you get out with a massive profit. So I made 4K on this one yesterday because I made 4K, 4.5K on the short, and I made $500 loss on the long. Brilliant. But it buys you the entire session to think about what shall I do? Where shall I go? Where is it going? Analyze it. What happens here? Do we get the bounce? No. Okay, well, if we haven't got the bounce there, and all this time that you're thinking, the very worst thing that could possibly happen to you is you lose 1R. But you've got the entire day to think about it, watch price action and have a think and go, not sure. Let's have a go at that. And as soon as you close that one part of the hedge out, you are trading a long position. That's it. And all you've got to do is wait for that long position to pull back by the range, and you can get out of that with a break even for the entire day and lose no money whatsoever. Eliminating losses. That's what it's all about. Not about making more money on the trades. It's about eliminating the loss trades because that makes you more money in the long run. How you make more money trading, eliminating losses, not trying to get the strategy that makes you 10R every time. 1.1%. There we go. Thanks, Wayne. I owe you a beer. If you're still here. So we're beyond ADR. Let's bring the stop down a little bit. Let's just see what the other pounds are up to. What do we reckon? 150 ADR pound New Zealand. Oh, you're just going to close that out. That gets me over 10% on the account. So that's the only reason I'm doing that. I don't know whether whether that's going to rally on more. I just don't like, even though it's a news event, we're at ADR. And if you look at where we are, this is a previous support area. So I think probably best case scenario is maybe a bounce off of that potentially. So I might as well just take it. It's only a tiny little profit, but it could well push down to 175 ADR. That would be the ultimate long opportunity today if we get 175 ADR on this, because you're going to get a pullback on this move. I don't really fancy holding it. There we go. So there's your pound. So I've got more I can bank on the pound New Zealand as well. I'm going to give this pound the benefit of the doubt that we are going to get a continuation on it today and let these run. I can bank some more pound now, but I think I'm going to let that run and see if we can get a rally on it. It's ADR across the board. So you've got all these ADRs now lit up. So obviously the ADR dash is there to tell you when things get extended. That does not mean you need to be taking the trades. Yeah. So we've had a fundamental negative news event for the pound. And obviously, as you can see, the market is not happy with it. So if this doesn't pull back and then start to move up, there's a good chance that we will push on and continue today, or just accumulate. If we accumulate, this reverse alert that we had here is probably holding, and we are pulling back. So watch all the propulsion gap targets to the downside. So this one's pretty much done. Next target is there, which was where the buyers were. So if we're going to run into more buying pressure, likely to be where that move there started. So just watch this area here as well. That's where my TPs are on that one. But yeah, be careful trying along these. You won't get M5 reverse alerts anyway, because the obviously it's a news spike. So the reverse alert will be pretty much an ADR away, or half an ADR, or 3/4 of an ADR away. So you're not going to get long entries on them if you've got the EA running anyway. If it does revert the entire move, then fine. There's no problem going along, is there? Because the short move is not sticking, and they probably want to carry on rallying. So here we go. Right, I'll leave it there today for this morning. I'll be back this afternoon at 2:20 for the afternoon session. We'll trade the NASDAQ, the Dow, and the S&P as usual. See if we can get some more money out of them. Just monitoring P&L today. We've got an RSI extension on Euro Yen. So there's a potential long opportunity forming for the Euro Yen. So I might be getting into a long on that. In fact, I will be getting into a long on that on the next reversal alert. So that is actually below the 25 level now. So in the next hour, next 20 minutes, that will signal a long opportunity. So I'll be getting in long with the EA on the next reversal alert on M5. So basically looking for some kind of pullback on that. Not my favorite trade to be in, longing against the yen, but scaling potentially down to there, I reckon. So we'll see what happens, but that's the only opportunity that I'm going to get into this morning. Other than that, just monitoring the P&L and just banking stuff. New Zealand dollar Swiss is on the move. Oh, look at that. Just missed my TP this morning, look. Didn't quite get into that propulsion gap. Okay, so we've just had negative news on the euro. So obviously the Swiss franc tends to get dragged with the euro. So there is potential to make more money on this one today. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my TPs up at ADR on this one, because that is that high, last week's high. So if this market structure is going to hold, so we've got the reversal alert there and the retest, basically the propulsion gap, new high, new higher low, new higher high at double top. Makes more sense to keep that long, doesn't it? So we may well, if we hit that double top today, it wouldn't have hit my TP anyway. If we do hit that double top today and bounce, whatever, if we break that double top today, next stop is there. So it makes sense to move my TP up and take a little bit of extra cash on that one. I can close it out now, but obviously there's no point in closing out with 0.06% profit, is there? But yeah, so there you go. So I'll be monitoring this lot today, see if we can get some more banked. Like I say, if I get 5% this month, I'll deem that as a good month considering the market's been so sideways. So, but yeah, I'll be back this afternoon at 2:20. If you are only coming into the Frankfurt sessions, next one is on Friday morning, 7:50 at the same time. I'm not trading tomorrow. We're not streaming tomorrow. 7:50 So yeah, be back this afternoon, 2:20 for New York. Be aware of the news today. We have got more news coming. We've got retail sales for the Canadian dollar at 130, but I'll be back on by the time we get the news on the PMIs for the US this afternoon. So might be a tricky session again this afternoon. I'm going to trade it anyway, I think, but we'll see what happens. All right, so have a good morning. Anything you need, I'll be in Telegram. I've got some messages to catch up on in there, so I'll be in Telegram group if you need me. Links are going along the bottom to the website and Telegram. But other than that, have a good morning, and I will see you guys this afternoon, if not on Friday morning. Have a good one.